How to do and what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I'm posed up here with the unsung hero of the hurricane, the generator, the humble American generator. You might could say it's the daily American generator, the Predator 9000. And let me tell you something, guys. This jewel right here is phenomenal. It has 9,000 starting watts. What does that mean? It has 7250 running watts. What does that mean? Well, it means that you can power everything in your house, from the television to the lights, to the well, to the central AC unit, not all at once, and sometimes even the water heater. Man, let me tell you, this thing ran almost 200 hours with 72 gallons of gasoline, and it just made the disaster well worth living in. You know what I mean? That little hum in the background just sang us to sleep every night. There's not one complaint that I have about this particular generator, but I did decide to switch things up. For this guy, introducing the Pulsar PGDA 70 Bisco. Not really sure what all that means. This is the important part. It's got 7,250 starting watts, 6,000 running watts on gasoline, a little bit less than that on propane, but hey, those are semantics. We're going to be running on gasoline anyway. Now, here's your question. Why would you give up a perfectly good generator that ran all of those important items for one that is less powerful? Well, that's a great question. The reason being is because this one right here is what they call an inverter style generator. Number one, that makes it quieter, even though I am going to miss that sweet, sweet humming song. It also provides clean power. It's the same type of power that you get off of the mains produced by the power company. That pure sine wave is going to treat your high dollar electronics with kid gloves. You know what I mean? It doesn't just run your dumb machinery, it runs your smart ones too, and you don't have to worry about the kind of power you got. And say, well, what are you going to do about the fact that you can't run all those important items that you had, like your well, your central AC, your water heater? Well, party trick of an inverter is you can pair it with a second one. So now I've got 12,000 running watts and 14,500 starting watts when I need it. This is the cool part. Most of the time you don't. You don't need that fire-breathing 400 plus cc generator just running hard at 3,600 RPM all the time. Most of the time you're only going to be running about 3 amps, 2.5. A pocket watch has more power. So when you don't need all that power, you can run it off of one. When you do, you can run it off of two. These have a coast down eco mode where they will just purr just enough to provide exactly the power that you need. It's all going to be clean. It's all 240 volts. It's all ready to go with my homemade parallel kit. We'll get into that later. What I'm going to do right now, guys, is I'm going to do the after break-in service on these. I'm going to change the oil and check the spark plug. Just give it the once over, make sure everything looks copacetic. And then I'm going to start these up for you guys, and we'll do some sound checks. Maybe hook them up to the parallel kit so you can see how that works. And then maybe put some loads on them so that you can compare that to the sound of something else common. Maybe the daily American air compressor. So you've got the 240 volt 30 amp plug right here, and that's great for powering up your panel on the inside. You get both leg 1 and leg 2 powered up just the same way you would as if the power was still on. You can turn on some 240 volt circuits as long as they're under that 25 amp load for constant usage. You can go up to the 30 amp for starting watts by utilizing just one generator. But if you're like me, everything seems to be electric in this house. The water heater, the well, of course, is electric. The heating is electric via the heat pump and auxiliary heat. The dryer is electric. The only thing that's not electric, seems like, is the oven range. It's gas, cooktop, and oven, which is great because that allows us to cook in an outage. But say you wanted to power up some of those higher wattage items. Well, that's where you have a second generator. Well, you can't just plug in 2 generators. Well, you can. That would be effectively using your house as a parallel kit. But the other option is what I've made here. This is two 1430 twist lock 4-prong 240 volt 30 amp service plugs that will go into each generator, and what comes out is your 1450 4-prong 240 volt 50 amp. You will use a extension cable to run from this box to your breaker panel, and you've got 240 volt 50 amp service for those high usage items. And we're going to put that into practice in just a second. Important thing I forgot to mention here, it dawned on me while I'm sitting here trying to edit this video down, is that you need to leave both male ends of this parallel kit plugged in at all times when you're trying to use it. If you don't, you'll have an open end with those prongs exposed that anybody could come in contact with. Now that is a no-go situation, and this is not supposed to be used as a tutorial on how to parallel your inverter generators together. This is only what I have utilized in my experience that taught me that this is going to be okay for my situation. Use your best judgment to decide what is best for you. Now the other thing that we need to discuss is going to be the type of air compressor that you're going to be listening to. This is an old 2 horsepower central pneumatic that I got from Harbor Freight. It says that its rated decibel level is 86 decibels as listed here, and it has a running amperage use of 17 amps. This one is going to be slightly higher because of the intake muffler has been knocked off, and it has been for some time. This air compressor is old, but still keeps on a kicking, and it works just fine. The starting amps for a 2 horsepower air compressor can be up to 7 times the running amperage. So do the math there and figure that part of it out. What you're saying? I hear it. How can this 30 amp rated starting generator possibly start an air compressor that takes theoretically up to 100 amps to start it? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. Starting rating on your generator is there to keep you within spec of those internal components, the inverter board, the alternator or generator motor, and all of the wiring in there within a certain framework that is going to allow that generator to operate year after year after year reliably and continuously put out that limited amount of starting amperage. But they're capable of much more than that at a split moment's notice for hard to start items such as air compressor, who only need that 100 amps for a microsecond until that air compressor starts to run and the amperage requirement drops dramatically, exponentially. So although it's rated at 30, you'll see later in the video of what it's actually capable of. Not a tutorial, this is not an instruction manual, and I do not recommend going over the rated amperage for starting or running. right, well, that concludes this episode of the Daily American, where we talked about generators and what we switched up to. I hope you like this style of video. If you do, leave us a comment section below letting us know what we can improve on and what you liked, what you didn't. I hope it also gave you some food for thought and clarified some mysteries surrounding generator selection and how they're utilized. I've got a video coming up on a calculator that I use to decide whether or not to switch my generator, what it was going to take to power the components that I wanted to use in an emergency situation. And it'll also calculate the cost of the type of fuel that you're going to need for X number of theoretical days that you would potentially be without power. Give us a like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for stopping by.